So, the summer transfer window is finally closed. Thank God for that, to be honest, because finally we can settle down now and we don't have to have all this uncertainty about who's going to come into the team and who might very well leave. And we have a very, very good dilemma here because we've got such a strong looking squad now. It makes you think how on earth do all these players fit in. I generally don't know how we fit all these players into the team, but we're going to need the players. We're going to have 8 extra games in Europe. At least, that's if we were to get knocked out at the league phase. So you can hope and presume it would be even more than that if it goes well. So therefore, we need these players. It's not going to be a bad thing. But we've now got very strong cover in all areas, and there's still a couple of players who may very well be leaving because they are still transfer windows open around Europe and further afield. The Saudi window is still open until the 10th of September. The Turkish window is still open until the 12th. So you could maybe see the likes of Jota Silva, Taiwo Awoniyi maybe still leave. But let's go over deadline day and what happened in the build up to it as well, and an overview of this whole transfer window and what will hopefully be an overwhelming success. On deadline day, we finally got a deal agreed for Dylan Bakwa. This one is something that really excites me. He looks like a perfect fit for Forest. He's already had an excellent start to the season with Strasbourg in Ligue 1. He's already got a goal and 3 assists in the opening 3 games in the season, so that's very impressive. A 5-year deal from Strasbourg completed on deadline day, and now we have 2 players on either side, as well as James McAtee able to play out wide too. So we are stacked in those positions now. You look at how we've adapted. Obviously, Anthony Elanga in an ideal world probably wouldn't have left the club, but we've clearly upgraded Jota Silva and Ramon Sosa. You could easily see a world where one of those two didn't really play much, but when you look at this team, you think it'll be unfair to drop any of these to even not being in the matchday squad, but there's a very real possibility. We see that because we've got that many options now. I don't really know how we fit Bakwa in, whether we're going to plan on starting him or he's going to be more of a rotation player, but off the back of that West Ham game, I don't think there's many players that are definitely regular starters right now. As well as Bakwa, the last week we've seen a very serious improvement in the fullback positions. The first one being Cuiabano from Botafogo. Of course, we've signed half Botafogo's squad this summer. This was linked very early in the window when we were going to sign Igor Jesus and João Cunha. We were on about doing a triple deal, bringing all these in at the same time. Well, we have got them all in, but this one went completely silent for most of the summer, and it's ended up happening last minute. A 4-year deal for Cuiabano. He's only 22, so he can clearly get better and a long time left in his career. Apparently 6 million was the fee, so not that much. Again, is this just going to be a depth option? I can't really see him coming in and playing much when we signed another left back in his position as well, on top of Nico Williams too. It's too early to judge really, but we've also signed Alexander Zinchenko from Arsenal on loan. This one came out of the absolute blue. This is a typical deadline day move, just out of nowhere. This was reported after the transfer window shut. After it shuts, Marinakis, he decides when the window shuts. No one tells him what to do. Having played a lot of matches overall for Man City and Arsenal in England, he's got a wealth of experience at this level and playing in the Champions League and Europa League. So plenty of experience, and I think that's why we've signed him. Even if we've got Cuiabano, I don't entirely know if we trust him if we're going to be signing another player 15 minutes after that one was announced. It's also worth pointing out as well that Zinchenko can play in midfield. He's played in midfield a lot when he's played for Ukraine. He's got 74 caps for Ukraine as well. So this is an extremely experienced player and one that ended up being a bit of an outcast at Arsenal in the last year. And we can't really complain about this. This has got to be seen as a good bit of business and some extremely good depth for us. And the fourth player that we've seen sign in the last couple of days is John Victor. This one being from, would you believe it, Botafogo. The fourth player from Botafogo to sign in the same window. People are going to say investigate Forest, but I don't really care, to be honest. I'm just supporting what's happened. But people are going to say it is something dodgy going on. I mean, maybe we can't rule it out, but I don't really care about that. We've got a backup goalkeeper in. We needed it. Angus Gunn probably wasn't really going to be good enough backup to Matt Sells, and you still really need a third option anyway. John Victor, he's played 89 times for Botafogo, 3-year deal. So you'd think he'd be decent backup. It's a similar scenario to Miguel coming from Brazil when he was doing pretty well in Brazil. Is Victor going to do any better? Well, we probably won't see him play an awful lot, probably in the cup games only. He's also previously played for Santos and Real Valladolid in Spain, so he has played in Europe before, but it was only a handful of matches. When it comes to outgoings, there was nothing major on deadline day, but we did see Omar Richards be loaned out to Rayo A for a second year. I really feel sorry for him at this stage. I think there's clearly a decent player in him, and I think every time he has played for us in pre-season, the last 2 summers, he's actually looked alright. He even scored last year. So I don't really know why he's just been completely exiled, like no chance at all. That injury obviously screwed him over from the start, but it's not like he's had a chance since then to seriously have a proper go. But obviously we don't think he's good enough. We should have just either released him or found a permanent move for him, just like we did, finally, with Emmanuel Dennis and Josh Bowler. These have both had permanent moves or been released from the club, mutual termination of their contract. Dennis doesn't have a club now. Bowler was released and has now rejoined Blackpool for a 3rd spell at Blackpool. So yeah, about time. And I don't know why we didn't do that with Omar Richards as well, but it's quite good to see us do that rather than just keep them around rotting away. Just get them off our books. As well as this, we've also seen Eric da Silva Moreira be loaned out to Rio Ave 2. Of course, this is another one of Marinakis' clubs, so this is why we're doing business with them. Moreira though, good move for him, definitely needed regular football, clearly a good player in there. Besides this, there was only ever really rumours of Jota Silva and Tyrone Awoniyi. There was nothing concrete from Awoniyi. We saw Werder Bremen be interested in him. West Ham have shown interest in him in the past, but nothing serious. Maybe him and Jota could still leave to Turkey or Saudi Arabia. I think you could definitely see that. But I think Tyro is going to possibly be in for a really difficult few months, because from now until January, is he ever going to get on the bench? We've got 3 forwards now in front of him, plus 4 wingers. You know, I just don't know how Tyro gets a look in now. And for his own sake, I really want him to go and get a club before all the transfer windows shut. But I think it's a tall order now. Jota, we've been talking about him being linked with Sporting pretty much all summer and nothing has really come of it. Botafogo have also shown interest in him, as well as Paris FC. So there's been some really rogue clubs show interest in Jota. But again, he's still technically here right now. And it's also worth pointing out, we've also signed Donald McNally from Chelsea. This is a 19-year-old youngster. We've signed him on a 3-year deal and has immediately been loaned out to Wycombe Wanderers in League One. Joining Finn Back, who's also there, of course, having played for Forest. 15 goals in 28 games last year for Chelsea at under-21 level. A forward, unsurprisingly, with those stats. I mean, are we ever going to see him play for the first team? Probably not. It's definitely more one for the youth team, and then we'll end up probably selling him on. That's all the transfer stories in and out. But to end this video, we need to talk about the Europa League and Premier League squad registration rules, because this is a big problem. We need to make sure we get this right. There's going to be somebody that gets left out possibly. That's if we can't move on the likes of Jota and Taiwo. Currently, Forest have a 28-man squad and you have to have 25 senior players registered in the Premier League. This is excluding under 21 players. At the moment, there's only Jacques Cunha that falls into that category. You have got Zach Abbott as well, but he's a homegrown player anyway, so he doesn't really count to that. I don't know how this is going to work, to be honest, because Jota and Taiwo have to leave here, and they're going to have one other player not be included in the squad. Now, could it be Dominguez? Because Dominguez seemingly is going to be injured for a long time. Is it going to be all the way until January though? Well, I don't know. I didn't think it was, but I've seen it might be. So maybe Dominguez might be just that in this case, and that's not really a problem. Will it be Cuiabano? Like, I don't understand how we're going to do this. I don't think it's going to be Bolly. I think it would be wrong to unregister Bolly. So I'm not sure who we're going to unregister. I mean, it can't be Angus Gunn, because what would be the point in signing him just to not register him at all? So let me know in the comments what you think of that. That's for the Premier League. But in the Europa League, we've got an even bigger problem, because you need to have 4 players trained at the club in a Europa League squad. So Ryan Yates, that sort of player, homegrown at the club. Well, Yates is the only one that falls into that category. I thought Zach Abbott would do, but I presume because he's not a senior player, he's not being counted here. So that's why the squad here, and I've seen this, it is not just entirely what I've done, I've seen this elsewhere. The squad stands in the Europa League at 22 senior players. Again, in the Europa League you need 25, but we need to fill those other 3 spots with youth players. So Abbott can be one, then you'd maybe think Aaron Bott might be the other one. He could go ahead of Angus Gunn in Europe, and then maybe register another youth player as well. And that would be how we can have 25, but you probably won't play those young lads, maybe besides Abbott and almost certainly Yates at some point. So registration rules, I don't fully get them if I'm honest, which is why I'm a little bit nervous talking about this subject. And obviously I've not even mentioned, you've got the nation homegrown players, so any English players count towards this, and also certain players who I believe have played in this country for a long time, so the likes of Ola Aina and Chris Wood fall into this category. They're registered, as well as Angus Gunn. That is a very, very exciting looking squad and an encouraging squad, and we need to use it, because that West Ham game, I haven't even really brought it up in this video. We've got those players now, we've got to be using them, and we've got to be using them properly, because if we don't, we're going to have more games like that against West Ham. That was an absolute fluke in my opinion, that game, because I've never seen Forest fall apart quite like that, especially at the City Ground. Away from home it's happened a lot, but at the City Ground it is unprecedented in the Premier League era. We haven't had that sort of thing happen to us. So these players have got to give us hope that we can avoid that sort of thing happening, and we've got to make sure we use them properly. So everyone, let me know in the comments, what would you grade this transfer window out of 10? I think it's got to be, 10 is not at all unfair. I think if all goes well, it's 10. Like right now, maybe you want to reserve judgment, but you have to see players play first. But regardless of that, on the surface, it's got to be pretty good. Thank you for watching this video, everyone, and all my transfer roundups throughout the summer. And let's look forward to seeing all these players develop and unfold at Nottingham Forest and see how they all get on. And hopefully they can contribute to what is going to be a very big season at Forest. Thanks for watching, everyone. Like, subscribe to Rads if you're new, and up the Reds.